All right. Welcome back to the Cordial Podcast, the podcast where conversations flow like River Nile and the insights are always on tap. I'm your host, of course, Kang'ong'oi, and I'm here to guide you through a discussion, or probably discussions, that are stimulating, satisfying, and are always served with a smile. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Cordial Podcast. Back again with another topic that I left hanging when I took my sabbatical that didn't even make sense. And we were talking about standards and expectations, and just from a general view of the online dating standards that we have. And I really am happy to be concluding this particular series that I started last year, and then it didn't cross over to 2025, and now we're here and we want to close up this shop, because I'm like, hey jamani, this thing has taken long to clear up, but before we even get into the serious business I have to give you the tea of the week. The tea of the week still comes from the previous episode where I was doing the recap for the Namanga road trip. And to be honest, this week has been funny. Just after I uploaded that episode, something came up, There was somebody who wrote a review of that trip, and that thing has been eating my head. I don't know if that is a direct translation of Kikuyu language, but it has been eating my head to a point where I've been wondering, do people actually know how to seek happiness even from themselves? Can people be their own source of happiness? Because mambo iliandiko huku jamani. But anyway, I won't talk much about it, but it really fazed me for the whole week, because it now got me thinking and probably recognizing that there are actually people out here who are probably who are probably just hard to deal with, or just hard to please, and you cannot, unless you do things how they want them to be done, then you will never please them. And probably even if you do it as they want to, you will not please them. So part of my week's drama has also been trying to figure out how exactly I'm going to handle this podcast thing, because unfortunately, guys, I lost my script. My season 2 script was lost, and guess who is the culprit in this? For those of us who have siblings, jamani, siblings can kill you. Me I'm telling you, siblings. So I got my script deleted from where I had saved it, and unfortunately this is the first document of this podcast that I did not save or send it anywhere. I've been trying to look at my previous WhatsApp chats. I've been looking at my emails. I'm like, how did I not even save a copy of that document? I am still in awe. I'm still wondering, how did I get that messy? But hey, I don't know where I'm going to, or how I'm going to handle this chaotic mess in my life right now, but I will definitely have something to put out. Of course, in the next few months, I will definitely have to restructure things and get topics that I will have to cover. But yeah, I still remember some few of them, but we will definitely jump back into that, so that's not much of a big deal. So yeah, I think I'm not going to talk much after that, because I'll just want to dive right in to our topic of the day. And today we're diving a little bit into a topic that, of course, I've discussed kidogo in the previous episodes before the break. And this particular topic, it often leaves us in scratching our heads, because you're asking ourselves, what exactly are standards, or what exactly are expectations? Some of you might think they're actually the same thing, right? Sindio? But trust me, there's a world difference that when it comes to understanding these two things. So let's start with standards, of course. So standards are your non-negotiables. I know you've heard that term before, non-negotiables. They are the core values and boundaries that you set for yourself and your potential partners. So I think of them as a bedrock, or the bedrock of a healthy relationship, your standards. This might include things like respect, honesty, emotional availability, and shared values. Now, let me give you an example of a scenario where you can try and, figure out what exactly are standards. Now, imagine you're on a date. Of course, me, I've never been on a date. Funny enough, at my close to turning 26 years old, I have never asked anyone on a date. I was actually thinking about this. Sorry for diving away, but I was actually thinking about this this week, where I was asking myself, man, I'm getting old and I've never really asked somebody out on a date. Well, I have, but it was in theory. It never got to materialize because of Nairobi. Yeah, but it was fun at that moment. But I can't wait for me to basically do that. I think you guys feel good when you're taking out on dates, and when you take people out on dates, must be nice. Anyway, so imagine you're on a date, and the person that you're with, they constantly interrupt you, dismiss your opinions, and make you feel small. That's a clear violation of your standard of respect, if you have a standard of respect. It's a red flag. If you can think of it as a red flag, and that's not something you should try to work around. You can see this person changing and all those things. Don't even try it, especially when it comes to respect. And that particular point of somebody dismissing your opinions, imagine somebody dismissing your opinions on day one, and I'm crazy. So standards are about knowing your worth and refusing to settle for less. They're about prioritizing your well-being. And expectations, on the other hand, are often based on assumptions, big assumptions, societal norms, or even fairy tale fantasies. Those movies that we watch, not we, but you watch. I don't know why I put myself in your shoes, but yeah, all these things the content that we take in, I've spoken about content that we consume in previous episodes, but yeah, things like this make us have some kind of expectation on people, and we also bring out assumptions and societal norms that are being created every single day, especially with social media and all this online dating thing. There are some norms that are coming up that are really crazy from my end. But anyway, so expectations can be things like, they should always pay for my date, Jawadi, or they should always text me back within 5 minutes, or they should look like a supermodel. Jawadi. Well, some of this might stem from personal preferences, which they can differ from. But anyway, they can quickly become unrealistic and lead to disappointment. Kwanza hapo, hiyo part ya unrealistic, watch yourself. So often we project our own insecurities and desires onto potential partners, and we might even call them expectations and standards. But we create these elaborate scenarios in our heads, these perfect fantasies. And when reality doesn't match up to what we've created in our heads and the assumptions that we've made, we feel let down, But relationships are about real people. That's something we should actually come to understanding. If you're trying to get to know somebody, you shouldn't bring your perfect projections, because you yourself are not perfect. There is no way you should consider yourself perfect, and you should not expect the other person to be perfect. Just be ready to just hear them out. Just accord everyone that you meet grace enough. They might not be they might not be dressed as you would love to. They might not be having that voice that you like, or that face that you like, or that body that you like, but just don't project that onto people. So expectations can create unnecessary pressure and prevent us from seeing people for who they truly are. They can lead to resentment and miscommunication. Big problem, especially when it comes to miscommunication. There are many relationships, or just the normal relationships, platonic ones, where miscommunication really ruins a lot of things when you come to think about it, because people have their own different ways of living, and if you don't get to live that and just experience them from who they are, and you try to project all these things of how you live your life to them, then basically there will always be miscommunication, and there's and a bit of resentment when it comes to that, when we talk about having expectations and all these things on them. So let me give another example or a scenario where we can get to know what expectations are. Let's say you expect your date to text you back immediately after a date. If they don't, you might start spiraling, thinking they are not interested, but maybe they were just busy, or maybe they prefer phone calls. The expectation created a problem that didn't exist. That's something that I even boldened. That expectation will always create a problem that didn't exist, and I think that's also a part where we struggle as humanity. When it comes to building relationships with people, we have all these expectations, and when somebody doesn't fulfill them in the first 1 day, 2 days, then you're ready to cut them off, then you're ready to just kill things off, and there's this notion that is being propagated all around that, if somebody breathes even the wrong way, I'll cut them off, or if somebody does this. And to me, when I see such posts or people talking about that, I'm always like, don't you yourself also want to be met with grace, whereby you are not perfect, you understand you're not perfect, and the people that you're going to meet are not perfect in any way. So we are literally, as humans, creating problems that don't even exist, and we are having discussions of problems that would have been solved if communication was great, if people will just meet each other with grace, and if people will just see each other as humans. And we make mistakes day in, day out, and all these things need to be taken with grace. So how do we shift from the unrealistic expectations to healthy standards? And first, I think we have to recognize, I've always talked about this even in my first episodes of this podcast. I talked about self-reflection, and it has been key in my life, and that's why I decided, let me do a podcast whereby I can talk, of course, to myself but also to people who are on a journey of just trying to be better and growing, and I've always mentioned it, that self-reflection is key. You get to know what are your core values, what are your deal breakers. Even for me right now, I'm still trying to put up, and understand what my deal breakers are. First of all, ya kwanza, if somebody that is another topic for another day. Because the first time I interacted with this phrase of deal breakers, man, right? But for me, I'm always like, I'll always accord people grace until I get to a point where I'm like, yeah, I've accorded you enough grace for you to understand that you're probably handling things the wrong way, and you're still not seeing it or trying to change, so I will leave you to it. I won't call it a deal breaker, but I'll just say, hey, this has been great, but I can't move forward with this agenda because of this and this and this. Good communication, and if somebody is mature enough, you can have better communication even from there, and you can understand each other, or you can also forgive each other for not understanding each other, and probably move forward with how things are. So you also have to write them down. Funny enough, I'm actually, this year has been crazy because I have 5 notebooks, and I don't know where they all came from, but I've just gotten them, even from work, from family, and all these things, and I'm like, I have to write things on these books. I'm not going to just let them stay blank as that. So I'm doing many things when it comes to writing things down, and I've always propagated for that. Write things down. So when it comes to the deal breakers, your core values, and when you're doing that self-reflection, take your time, write them down, and of course, next to that is always communicate your standards clearly and respectfully, not in a way that you're showing somebody you're better than them, or you have this ego and pride that is over everything else, thinking you're the alpha and omega. Always communicate them, not in a way to diminish somebody, but just to just tell them in a really respectful way that, hey, this is how I handle my life, and there are principles that I have that I cannot budge on, and you're currently either crossing boundaries or you're about to cross a boundary. So don't be afraid to voice your needs. It's not bad, especially for the men. I think the world will be a better place if men decided to actually voice their needs. We will take a lot of backlash, and that is for sure. We will take a lot of it. It's time we just put our legs on the pump, and just voice our needs, man. Like, talk it out. Don't think like shutting up and taking things is the right way, or that's how you're supposed to be a real man. No, a real man stands for himself first before he can even hold himself accountable. You always have to do things from a point of knowing that this is me and this is how I work. So you can also say that it's about being flexible and open-minded, you being willing to adjust your expectations based on the individual that you're dating or you're trying to get to know. Focus on getting to know them as a person rather than trying to fit them into a preconceived mold, and that's really something that we also struggle in, where, as I've said, we create this assumption and these fantasies, and you want this particular person to fit into it so badly that it really ruins everything. So when you're getting to know somebody, just get to know them as a person. Don't throw things out, don't cut off things, don't push your deal breakers too early and give people conditions and all these things without getting to know them first. And I think that's something also we need to put an emphasis on people just getting to know them without any expectations. Get to know somebody without thinking of, where are we going, what are we going to do, and why are we doing this. Just get to know them. And I think that's where the beauty of life is, where you don't hold anyone to expectations. You hold them to the point of, can we build something? Can we have a common tendency that will help us propagate life together, or as friends, as whatever that it may be. So don't try to fit people into a preconceived mold. And finally, practice self-compassion. And I also wrote down, like, self-compassion, to me, I will take it as grace. I've talked about grace. Dating can be tough. That I won't lie. I haven't dated much, but the few times I've tried it's been tough. And it's okay to feel disappointed at times. And that's what I'm also teaching myself. As I'm saying that we need to give other people grace, we also should give ourselves grace. Dealing with humans, me included as a human, is really tough. Sometimes you can think better, or you will think you're doing things in a healthy way, and the other person doesn't see it as that. They see it as you being a maniac. So yeah, I'm not trying to propagate that I'm probably better or I'm good or all these things. I'm just saying I'm recognizing that there are things I need to work on, and I'm working on them, and it is much better for community to know that there are people who are actually there doing things and wanting to do things in the right way, building a community where things can be done the right way, and we can see the future, and we can just try and propagate all these bad things that are happening, and just try and curb them for a while. So practice self-compassion for yourself, and do not let unrealistic expectations dictate your happiness. I started with a bit of tea where I talked about somebody who was writing a review of the trip that we are on, and this is when I was writing about this episode, and I wrote that specific part of not letting unrealistic expectations dictate your happiness. I think for me, with that story, it just shows of a person who let their feelings or disappointment dictate their happiness for that particular day. You didn't let any kind of good thing happen or anything that was happening, you didn't take it in the right way, or you just didn't want to get happiness of any kind just because you got one disappointment. And that to me is a big thing, not letting your happiness be dictated by with some unrealistic things. So remember, standards are your shield, protecting you from unhealthy situations. Expectations are your blindfold. Expectations will always be a blindfold to you. They will prevent you from seeing the beauty of real connection, real human connection. So focus on building meaningful relationships based on respect, honesty, and shared values, and you'll be well on your way to finding love in its authentic nature. You won't have to struggle as much because you can also source that love from within you, because we are created in the image of God. That's something that I believe in. I was created in the image of God, and God is love. And so if I believe I am in the image of God, then that means love resides in me because God gave me that. It's His image. And so that is what I'm supposed to also propagate onto others, that love. And there's a lot of things that are happening in this world right now that are trying to dim and blind people from actually getting to know what resides in them. There's a lot of distractions, a lot of them. We cannot even exhaust them even in one episode or one season. But there are a lot of distractions that we are having right now, especially also in this particular setting that we're talking about, dating and also just human connections. There are a lot of things that are hindering us from actually getting to realize how real connections are built, how people can be honest in their lives, how people can be respectful in their lives, how we can all share values from our different livelihoods, and how we've come up, childhood, teenagehood, all these things, even adulting. All these things can bring about a sense of community where people share their values and they actually respect each other and they appreciate each other as, a community. And you do all these things just for the sake of the future and also for your own peace of mind. So again, remember, standards are your shield. They will always be your shield. They will protect you from unhealthy situations, while expectations are your blindfold. They will prevent, put that in bold and underline it. They will prevent you from seeing the beauty of real connection. So that's it for the series of online dating standards and, a little bit of a touch of standards and expectations. So don't forget to subscribe and leave a review on the Cordial Podcast. Our handles, the Cordial Podcast on Instagram. And please, I will put this also in bold and underline it. Remember to date with intention and not expectation. Tafadhali, don't date with expectations. Just date with the intention of getting to know somebody. Find that real connection first before you place any kind of expectations. I think I mentioned in the previous series episode where I said that expectations really ruin a lot of things. And to me, I gave the understanding of an expectation as something that you build from getting to know somebody. Then you can expect that from them. After getting to know somebody, then you can build that expectation. An example is, I had concluded that episode, but something just came back to me. As I was saying, when you're getting to know somebody, and probably you're getting to know Mungai in this perspective, and Mungai loves keeping time, Mungai loves doing things and this in this manner. When you get to know me that and you've seen me over time doing that, then you can have that expectation that, hey, I expect Mungai to keep time. I expect Mungai to handle me with respect because that's how he treats me. Then you can place that expectation on somebody. But when you come with expectations from other things, from other experience, Ladies and gentlemen, you will never ever get to see the beauty of real connection. So that has been it for this series. Thank you very much for listening in. Have a blessed week, have a blessed day. Thank you. If this episode has been any kind of helpful to you, you can always share. Don't feel bad to share the link. Do not. So see you next weekend when we deal with another new topic, another new 3-part series of season 2, and I can't wait to to find myself doing this again. So it has been a pleasure, guys. See you when you see me.